I've driven through Rockaway Beach, Missouri plenty of times while exploring the back roads around Branson, but I've never actually stopped to stay or grab a meal here. So on this trip, I'm finally changing all that. Usually when I head to Branson, I go straight to my condo, but this time it's rented out and I'm traveling solo. That gave me the perfect excuse to spend my first night in Rockaway Beach. I'll be staying at a small local inn, having pizza at a neighborhood spot, breakfast at a local diner, coffee at the town's coffee shop, and taking a walk along the lakefront. Rockaway Beach was once the playground of the Ozarks, and I'm curious to see what it's like today. I always come into Branson from the south on US 65 when I'm coming up from Texas, but this time it felt a little strange when I crossed over Lake Taneycomo and didn't take the 76 Country Boulevard exit like I usually do. Instead, I kept going under the bridge, something I realized I almost never do. And then I passed the Shepherd of the Hills Expressway exit, and even the very last Branson exit heading north, Branson Hills Parkway. From there, I stayed on US 65 for a couple of miles until I reached the Ozark Mountain High Road exit, which is also Highway F. Once we're on Highway F, it's about a 10-minute drive to Rockaway Beach. F crosses over Bull Creek and passes through the small community of Bull Creek. This road acts as a shortcut from US 65 over to Highway 160, which is the main road to Forsyth, and Highway 176, which is the main road to Rockaway Beach. Soon we reach the intersection of 160 and 176. From here, it's less than a mile until 176 splits off from 160, heading toward Merriam Woods and Rockaway Beach. At this point, it's just about 3 miles to Rockaway Beach, and we quickly pass through the quiet community of Merriam Woods. After leaving Merriam Woods, we soon see the sign to Rockaway Beach, and the road climbs onto a ridge, and then begins the descent down the hill through a series of sharp curves, bringing us down to Lake Taneycomo and the heart of Rockaway Beach. I've reached my lodging for the night, the Rocking Eagle Inn. I'll turn around here to park right in front and check in before heading out for a stroll along the lakefront. I checked in, unloaded my stuff, and headed out for a stroll along the Lake Taneycomo waterfront. Checking in was a little different and felt perfectly fitting for this laid-back town. I had to call a number posted on the front door, and the owners came up from working out back in the flower beds to welcome me. It was a beautiful day for a walk, clear skies with not a cloud in sight, and the lake shining bright blue. I made my way down to the public trout fishing dock, then out to the peninsula for some great views of the lake and the town. The area had covered picnic tables, a nice grassy spot, and a friendly Rockaway Beach sign alongside the fishing pier. After capturing some video and just soaking in the quiet, I headed back toward town and was followed by some new friends. As I headed back to my room, I walked along the street, with the town on my left and the lake on my right. It was clear that quite a bit of work had been done along the lakefront. Buildings were renovated and the whole area felt freshened up. One interesting spot was an old go-kart track that had been transformed into an outdoor space, complete with picnic tables, a neat little community hangout right by the water. My room at the inn was room 1, with a nice view of the neatly landscaped front and a great view of the lake. Across the street, I noticed the Cedar Restaurant, looking like a perfect spot for breakfast the next morning. The room itself wasn't fancy, but the bed was comfortable. There was a cozy little table and sitting area right in front of a large window looking out over the lake. Besides the TV, the room had a refrigerator, microwave, and coffee maker, all the basics covered. The bathroom had a toilet, tub and shower, and a small sink. Again, nothing fancy, but perfectly serviceable. At about $70 a night during my stay, the Rocking Eagle Inn was a decent value, especially with the great view. It was pretty early, but I was hungry, so I hopped in the car and headed back up the road to a place we had passed on the way in, the Pizza Cellar. A couple of viewers had actually recommended it, so I wanted to check it out. I parked across the street and walked in the front door, immediately noticing the stone steps leading down to the restaurant and bar. They really felt like you were heading down into a cellar. The place was spacious and a bit dark, which added to its character, with a mix of picnic tables and regular tables, and a prominent bar area. In the far corner, they had the pizza oven going. I grabbed a seat at the bar, and after scanning the menu, I ordered their special. While I waited, I wandered around and chatted with the bartender, who told me there was a back door with parking so you could avoid the stairs if needed. He also mentioned the Pizza Cellar had been around for years and was a local favorite. People even drove in from Branson and nearby towns, especially on weekends. When my pizza arrived, I understood why. It was more than enough and tasted great. I finished it all and then headed back to the inn to relax for the evening. The Pizza Cellar was a fun spot with a local bar kind of vibe. Definitely a place I'd recommend to anyone. Even if you're staying in Branson, it's worth the short drive out to Rockaway Beach for the atmosphere and, of course, the great pizza. The next morning, I woke up pretty early to another beautiful day. Actually, a little too early, since the Cedar Restaurant across the street didn't open until 9 a.m. on this Tuesday. So I took in the morning views and got my things ready before heading over right at opening time. The open sign by the entrance was a good sign, and when I walked in, I was the only person there. I took a quick look around and settled into a booth by the window to check out the menu. I was interested in the breakfast options, but I also glanced at the full menu. There was also an espresso menu on the table, with teas, non-coffee drinks, and desserts as well. After placing my order, I got up to explore the place a bit more and stepped out onto the peaceful, quiet balcony overlooking the lake. My server mentioned this spot can get pretty busy on weekends and holidays. The whole restaurant had a modern, fresh vibe, a big contrast from the local bar feel of the Pizza Cellar the night before. There was even a bakery case filled with pies, cakes, and other baked treats. By the time I finished looking around, my coffee had arrived, and shortly after, my breakfast pancakes, eggs, and bacon. It was great. I'd definitely recommend the Cedar Restaurant and want to come back to try their lunch and dinner menu someday. I took one last look at the bakery case, headed back across the street, checked out of the Rocking Eagle Inn, got in my car, and drove off to my last Rockaway Beach stop, a specialty coffee spot. I'd seen signs for the White River Coffee Company and driven by it before while passing through Rockaway Beach, so today I made a point to stop and check it out. It's located in a building called The Village, which also houses a local thrift store. I learned the coffee shop leases the space from the local church that owns and manages the building. Outside, there's a large deck with umbrellas and plenty of seating, a great spot to relax on a nice day. Inside, the space is well decorated, and a friendly local explained to me that they'd recently expanded the shop. When I stepped up to the counter, I found a very extensive menu of drinks and a bakery case filled with typical coffee shop goodies. I ordered a caramel latte to go and took a little more time to explore. The lady I'd talked to earlier gave me a quick tour of the new expanded area, pointing out some impressive woodwork in the room. It really was a beautiful and skillfully done space. By the time the tour wrapped up, my latte was ready, so I headed back outside and back to my car. Before leaving Rockaway Beach, I wanted to check out one more thing. The owner of the Rocking Eagle Inn had told me this town is really a fishing community. Folks come here bringing their own boats or renting boats to fish for trout in the chilly waters of Lake Taneycomo. So I headed back down to the lakefront, behind the Pizza Cellar, where I'd noticed a cluster of boat docks and fishing lodges. Sure enough, there were several small fishing lodges with docks and boat rentals available. Interestingly, the boat rentals here were cheaper than what I'd seen down in Branson. That got me to thinking, renting a boat here isn't just about fishing. I'd love to cruise down the lake to Branson and the Branson Landing, taking in the sights along the way. Maybe one of these days I'll make that happen. My time in Rockaway Beach is complete, and here are my final thoughts. I really enjoyed my stay. It's a quiet, laid-back place with good spots to eat, great coffee, and friendly people who are clearly working hard to revive their town. Now I'm headed back to Branson, where I have lots planned over the next few days, but that's a story for the next video. Thanks for joining me on this little side trip to Rockaway Beach, Missouri. Got any questions or suggestions? Drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, safe travels and happy exploring. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more of this kind of content, like the video, share it with friends, and leave us a comment to let us know your thoughts. We invite you to join us on our website at findushere.com, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon. Meanwhile, check out this video next for more travel fun. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss any of our new content. Your subscription is always free, helps us grow the channel, and is always greatly appreciated.